Welcome back. So we were starting with proportional counter. So I explained what is the basic difference between a proportional counter and an ionization chamber. Both basically will be ionizing, but in a proportional counter, as we go on increasing the voltage, that means the supply voltage, your pulses will also be amplified proportionally. Higher the input supply voltage, higher will be the pulses that are received by the preamplifier and the main amplifier. That is the main difference between ionization chamber and a proportional counter. Proportional counter will be able to give you signal proportional to the input ionization. But every time the input supply voltage increases, the pulse will also increase proportionally. Hence, it is called a proportional counter. I will repeat this again. In a proportional counter, as we go on increasing the supply voltage, the pulses that are received due to the ionization activity will increase, but they will increase in proportion to the energy of the incoming radiations. Because of that only, the name is proportional counter. It works on a supply voltage higher as compared to that of an ionization chamber. It will work in the range of approximately 400 to 800 volts. In the block diagram, you can see that the proportional counter is given. The construction is similar to that of an ionization chamber with a circular anode and a wire or a thin rod as a cathode. Ionizing gas will be present inside. The radiative material could be placed either inside the proportional counter or it could be placed outside the proportional counter. If it is placed outside, some radiations will be absorbed by the window, the entry point of the radiations. If the material is placed inside the proportional counter, this particular error will be minimized or removed because the radiations will directly reach the counter. If the material is placed inside or if proportional counters are used as inline counters, that means they are placed in the measuring system continuously, then there will be a continuous supply of the gas such that the life of the proportional counter will be infinite because the gas inside is getting replenished every time. Due to this particular reason, the life of the proportional counter will be infinite and can have numerous applications. You have a preamplifier, which is nothing but a voltage follower. Then you have the main amplifier, which has the gain in the range of 1000 to 5000. Then you have an analyzer or a discriminator. Now, what do we mean by an analyzer or a discriminator? It basically would mean that it will identify certain pulses and will neglect certain pulses. That is a discriminator. Then you have a scaling unit, which is going to count these pulses. Once these pulses are counted, then we can directly display them on the display unit, from which we can come to know how much activity, radioactivity, has actually occurred in the proportional counter. The discriminator is similar to a pulse height analyzer, which we will be studying further, from which you will understand what is the working. Pulse height analyzer. Scaling units are nothing but counters, timers or counters. They will count how many pulses occurred in a given time, or it will count how many pulses would occur in a particular time period. Either or. So it is a counter timer unit. That is nothing but scaler or scaling unit. In the next few slides, there is the explanation for the proportional counter. You can refer it to as and when required. Now, the GM counter or the Ziegler-Muller tube. This is one of the most frequently used type of ionization detector or radiation detector. If we have a look at the construction, again there is a circular cathode. There is an anode wire, a very thin wire. The diameter of the GM counter is 2 to 5 centimeters only. Then you have a mica window, which will allow radiations to enter. Whenever radiations will enter, ionization will take place and electrons and ions will flow towards their respective electrodes. When they are flowing towards the respective electrodes, again there will be an collision between the gas molecules. This produces more number of ions, or this produces more number of ionizations. A similar thing happens with the proportional counter also. In proportional counter also, there will be a multiplication or amplification of the single radiation that is received. Similarly, in GM tube also the same thing will happen. Now the GM tube is operating at a much higher voltage as compared to your ionization chamber or your proportional counter. It works in the range of approximately 850 to 1500 volts, which is a pretty high voltage. Now, with such a high voltage, what happens is that the field inside the GM tube is highly electrically charged, because of which these particles move with a very high velocity. When they are moving with a very high velocity, they collide with other atoms, ionize them, thus creating more number of electron ion pairs. Now, when more number of electron ion pairs are generated, there will be something called as an avalanche. You remember the avalanche effect, which is there in diodes also, wherein there is a huge current flowing suddenly. So such an avalanche occurs in a GM tube. In proportional counters, that avalanche is called a Townsend avalanche. And in GM counters, the avalanche occurs, and it occurs in a very high quantity, because of which a very high current pulse is generated. And the GM tube has a peculiarity that it can distinguish between the particles that are entering. That means it can differentiate between the beta and the gamma particles that are entering into the GM tube, because it provides proportional pulses to the alpha and the beta radiations. That means if it is a gamma radiation or a beta radiation or alpha radiation, depending on that, it will give you smaller or larger pulses. And hence we can identify which kind of radioactive particle is actually entering into the GM tube. Now let's come back to the avalanche part. What happens is, because of this avalanche, there is a huge current that flows. Now, along with this current, if you recollect that since there was a lot of ionization that was happening, the gas inside starts to be exhausted because it forms ions and electrons. So gas molecules start reducing inside the GM tube. And because of that, there is an accumulation of very high positive charge around the cathode and very high negative charge around the anode. Now, because of this, what happens? Whatever ionization is occurring in between, now there will be an opposite field and there will be no attraction of ions and electrons, and they will stay where they are. Due to this, at a point, you get a stable output from the GM tube. This is the graph of a GM counter. There are small pulses initially. Then there is an avalanche effect, because of which the counts per minute suddenly rise, and then there is a plateau region. Now in this region, there are large pulses, but they will be proportional to the radiations that are entering. Means if it is alpha or beta or gamma, depending on those radiations, the height of these pulses will vary. So usually the operating voltage of a GM counter is this, which is approximately 850 to 1500 volts. And when in operating in this region, it will give us constant pulses of constant height depending on the type of radiation. If the radiation changes, the height of the pulse will change, thus indicating that there is a different radiation that has entered the GM tube. This graph is important from the point of view of GM counter because it explains us where exactly in what region a GM counter should be operated or a GM tube should be operated. So small pulses initially, then there is an avalanche. After the avalanche, the plateau region appears. This is also called as the plateau region. And in this region is where we get constant pulses, which region the GM tube should be operated. Now, whatever ions are formed inside, whatever electrons are formed, they try to move to their respective electrodes. And now there is less amount of gas, so you need to apply or provide extra gas to it. This process is called as quenching. Which is a prominent thing for a GM counter. This is not required for ionization chambers. This is not required for a proportional counter. But yes, it will be required for a GM tube. And quenching is nothing but you either externally supply fresh gas into the GM tube, or you provide an external resistance equivalent to the resistance between these two, because of which that extra ionization will pause for some time. The ions will recombine, and again the process can start when new radiations enter. So GM tube, it cannot be used continuously. You will have to use it intermittently. That is one drawback of the GM tube. Otherwise, the GM tube has a very good applicability. So the tube consists of a metal cylinder, which is as a cathode and has a diameter of 1 to 2 centimeters. It operates at a very high voltage, 800 to 2500 volts. This assembly is placed in a tubular glass envelope containing a gas mixture of argon and alcohol. Operation, as I said, is mostly between 800 and 1400 volts. Okay, there is fast multiplication of ions and then the pulses. One thing to be kept in mind for a GM tube is dead time. Now, as I said, that because of the fast ionization, there will be a formation of opposite charges on the anode and cathode. Because of this, there will be no ionization taking place. In this time, we will have to stop, or we will have to make sure that no radiation particle enters into the GM tube. And if that occurs, automatically there will be recombination of ions, and then we can use the GM counter freshly. That is what is mentioned here. During this dead time, the positive ions from the sheath around the anode wire, which effectively covers the potential gradient to a point where a counter becomes insensitive to entry of fresh ionizing particles. This is called the dead time. That means any particle entering will not be able to produce any output pulses. The counting tube contains halogens, which can be raised at low temperatures. The halogens, however, may be consumed by reaction with electrodes and other metallic parts of the tube. GM counters are utilized more often than any other counters. They have been also made in miniature with dimensions of less than 1 inch and a diameter of 2 millimeters.